Tonight, I'll tell you a story about time, kindness, and a man who could fix more than just clocks. This is The Clockmaker's Gift. In the quiet town of Willowmere, a narrow street curved along the riverbank, where an old clock shop stood between a bakery and a bookstore. The shop's wooden sign read simply, Elias Finch, Clockmaker. Inside, hundreds of clocks ticked together, some large and solemn, others tiny and delicate. They filled the room with a soft, steady rhythm, as if the shop itself had a heartbeat. People said that if you stood there long enough, you could hear time whisper. Elias Finch, the clockmaker, was a quiet man in his 70s with silver hair, round spectacles, and hands steady as stone. He lived alone above his shop, fixing watches and clocks for the townsfolk who had long since stopped noticing how strange his eyes looked, pale gray, with a faint glow, like storm clouds holding lightning. Every morning, Elias would wind each clock one by one. He spoke to them softly, calling them by names no one else knew: Marjorie, Thomas, Felix. The clocks, in turn, seemed to answer with a deeper, more harmonious tick. No one in Willowmere knew how old Elias truly was. Some said he had been there for 50 years, others swore their grandparents remembered him from their childhoods. But no one asked questions, because the clocks always worked, and time in Willowmere seemed to flow just right. Then one rainy afternoon, a young boy named Samuel burst into the shop, clutching a broken pocket watch. His father, a fisherman, had dropped it in the river. The boy's eyes were red from crying. "Please, Mr. Finch," Samuel said. "It was my father's. Can you fix it?" Elias took the watch, turning it over in his palm. The casing was dented, the glass cracked, the hands frozen at 2:10. "This watch has seen sorrow," Elias murmured. "But yes, I can fix it." Samuel smiled through his tears. "How much will it cost?" Elias looked at the boy. "For you? Only a promise." "A promise?" Samuel asked. "Yes," Elias said. "That you'll come back for it when the moon is full. Not before, not after. Can you promise that?" Samuel nodded eagerly. "I promise." Elias smiled. "Then your father's time will run again." The boy left, and Elias set the watch on his bench. When he opened the back, instead of gears and springs, there was a faint shimmer, like mist caught in sunlight. He sighed deeply. The watch was not just broken, its time had been stolen. He went to the back room, where an enormous clock stood covered with a black cloth. He pulled it away, revealing a clock unlike any other. Its face was made of glass so clear it seemed invisible, and inside it swirled a storm of silver dust. Elias whispered, "Another one." Then the great clock began to hum like 1,000 ticking hearts. He opened a small vial labeled Henry Cole, Samuel's father. The glow inside was fading. Elias poured it into the great clock, and the storm within swallowed it whole. "There," he said softly. "A little more time for you, Henry." The next morning, Samuel's father returned from sea after a violent storm. The other fishermen said it was a miracle he'd survived. Samuel ran to tell Elias, but when he opened the shop door, the old man wasn't there, only the ticking of 100 clocks. On the workbench lay the pocket watch, perfectly repaired, ticking once more at 2:10. Samuel took it home, never realizing what had been given in exchange. Years passed, and Willowmere changed. The bakery closed, the bookstore became a cafe. But the clock shop remained untouched, as though time itself refused to enter. One winter night, a woman named Clara arrived in town. She was a historian researching local legends and heard whispers about the man who could fix time. Curious, she went to the old clock shop. Elias Finch stood behind the counter, unchanged, not a day older than he'd been decades ago. They spoke, and he revealed the truth. His clocks ran on borrowed seconds, taken from his own life. Every time he fixed a clock, he lost a little of himself. At last, the great clock chimed. Elias staggered, smiled faintly, and handed Clara a silver key. "Take care of them," he whispered. "Wind them every dawn. Keep them honest." Then he was gone. The next morning, Clara wound the clocks, And they began to tick once more, each beat soft and kind, like the echo of a heart still keeping time.